Good morning. My name is P.R.A, and this is my contribution to the Earth Day celebrations that were arranged by Poetry Matters, and I fully support the intentions and the concept. As I said, my name is P.R.A. I was born in Budapest, Hungary, and escaped with my family in 1956, immigrating to Canada. And I have been writing all my life in different countries where I've lived. I had a career, an international career with a number of institutions, living in many different places in Europe and Latin America and Asia and North America, of course. Now I divide my time between Bordeaux, France, and Barnard, Vermont, which is where I'm right now. The collection of poems, CELLO'S Tears, which is what I will be reading from, will be published at the end of May by P.R.A. Publishing, and I'm grateful to them for taking this project on, and they are the ones who have introduced me to this venue. In that collection, I try to explore poetry as translation, not just from one language to another, but from different art forms to language, as it were, towards a lot of the poems in that collection are inspired by music or painting or sculpture, and I hope that you will consider looking at it and buying it. It is something that I've held dear to my heart, and as I said, written over many, many years in many different countries. Now, given that we're on an Earth Day venue here, I've chosen 4 poems that really celebrate nature and the earth. And again, as I said, I wrote them in different countries. The first one actually is very appropriate for where I am right now, in Vermont, where they've had a very, very difficult winter, which is finally giving way to spring. So without much further ado, I will launch into my poem, You Are Dying Now, Father Winter. You are dying now, Father Winter, melting into rivulets of new life, where winter's icy will ruled the world, only a languid memory remains. We leaf back through silent, solo times in pursuit of a seductive semblance, fleeing from us among frozen forms in the shadows of a sleepy forest. Or gaze, snowblind, from atop this knoll, backward across the widening crevice, at a white wisp of lingering smoke, inviting the mind to a fireside chat. For some time yet, we shall remember this notch on the staff of our passing years, and mourn the parting of the sculptor who molded the shape of this moving now. The delight of the dark of your death is this fresh joy that pervades the spirit of all who see the flowers budding and listen to the nightingale singing. I feel the sun-coaxed expectations of some new and untried combinations from those tired and worn, aged forms. Eagerly, I flow to the next moment. So that's You Are Dying Now, Father Winter. Next poem, actually, I wrote fairly recently here in Vermont. On our property, we have a lovely pond, and one evening I saw a heron standing in the water and then taking off into the sky, and that inspired the poem Evening, Heron and Pond. Dusk, silence. A gray heron skates gracefully over the pond, a blade slicing the oil fleck, shimmering through tarry forest greens. A violent flutter of pterodactyl wings, the bird evolves into a receding silhouette against the polyphonic sky, vermilion and indigo, aquamarine and burnt orange, and vanishes as the sun bleeds to death. The next 2 poems actually were written quite a while ago when I lived in Japan. I worked there many years ago at Expo 70, and I experimented with the Japanese forms haiku and tanka, but these are actually poems that were just trying to capture some of the feelings I had, and which were also what I would say are fairly Japanese in their makeup. Anyways, Japanese feeling. By the dim candlelight, I await your coming with love and soft music. I hear only the wind walk softly down the path that snowflakes now cover. Frozen tears the world wept, feeling my loneliness. So that was Japanese Feeling 1, and now a poem entitled Japanese Feeling 2. By the fire's glow, among the shadows, I sit unmoving. Outside in the dark, elements battle, while within my soul too, in harmony, a wild storm rages. So those are the 4 poems I've selected for you, but there are many more in the collection, CELLO'S Tears, and as I say, unlike the ones I chose, many of them were inspired by music and have music as a theme, or painting or sculpture. And in fact, the collection is divided into 4, like a symphony, and we have chosen symphonic poems as the subtitle. So again, I hope you will venture to take a look at the collection when it comes out at the end of May, beginning of June. I also would like to mention that I've written other things in poetry. I had a thriller that was published recently at the end of last year called Twisted Reasons. That was published by P.R.A Publishing, and it's the first in a trilogy. Quite exciting. It's about the heist of nuclear material from the former Soviet site. I wrote most of it in Vienna when I was living there, and it was inspired by, to a certain degree, Graham Greene's The Third Man, and the wonderful movie that Carol Reed made out of it. I've also written a series of memoirs. The first one is again coming out this year. It's about my family's escape from Hungary. It's called For the Children, and there'll be a second one coming about my experiences at Expo 70 in Japan, when I was approached by several Czechoslovak hostesses who wanted to stay, defect and stay, get to Canada. And that's called the Expo Affair. That too should be coming out soon. And I've got several other projects on the go. Anyways, it was nice for me to have this opportunity to introduce myself and to read a few of my poems. Thank you, and good luck and happy Earth Day to everyone.